You know, you guys, nowadays when you hear the name Zion Williamson, instead of thinking about the generational type of talent that he was and still is when he entered the league in 2019, he has really, in the social media world at least, turned into a meme for the reasonings of both his long rehab process and the apparent weight that he has put on throughout it. Because yes, I know with some of the pictures and videos we've seen, it doesn't look great, I'll keep it at that, but even when you Google it, comparing it to his previous season weigh-in of 284 pounds, the internet will tell you that this man currently weighs in at 317 pounds. And no, this image is not photoshopped, I promise you. But yeah, moral of the story, this is really all we've seen about Zion Williamson in the media over the course of the last couple of months. But once Zion Williamson is able to return from this extended stint of not playing, I can genuinely say I think it is going to change many things, and on top of this, turn many heads across the NBA landscape. And as you guessed, this is what we're going to be getting into in today's video. One sec, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those noties to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for any of you that haven't done so yet, I am highly recommending that you do, because according to my numbers, over 95% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So for any of you that do, I appreciate you, thank you so much. But anyway, I think there are some things about Zion Williamson that the majority of NBA fans are very easily forgetting, because even though this man has barely played over a full NBA season total of 85 games in his 3-year career thus far, when Zion does return, he will still be one of the most physically dominant forces the game has ever seen. And if you think it's an overreaction when I say this, I really don't think it is, because again, in the very small sample size that we have of Zion's current NBA tenure, he has put up very impressive numbers of 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on just over 60% shooting from the field, which when you tie this into his overall efficiency of play, puts him at a 26.3 player efficiency rating throughout his entire career. And if we were to say that Zion Williamson has been playing this entire season thus far while still putting up his career average efficiency rating of 26.3, this would currently net him as having the 6th best player efficiency rating in the entire NBA, while only sitting behind players like Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, LeBron, and Jimmy Butler. And I don't think I'm exaggerating in the slightest when I say this, that Zion Williamson has had one of the more impressive starts to a career that we have ever seen. But say you've never heard of the NBA before, and you just heard of Zion Williamson in specific over the last few months, you would probably think that he is a mediocre bust who gained over 100 pounds in his injury rehab process. And the point I am trying to get at is that even though, yes, Zion Williamson might have put on a few pounds, which he very well might trim off before he comes back, I really don't think, especially with his style of play, that this is going to stop him from dropping 30 on any given night. And I'm sure some of you listening still know, like myself, what Zion Williamson is going to begin to do once he finally gets back. But what's crazy with this in Zion's return is that I honestly think that he is going to a New Orleans Pelicans team that is all around better and more suited for him than either of these squads he has had in his first 2 years in the league. Now I know this statement has probably thrown a lot of you off guard, so just hear me out and let me know what you think. Because if we rewind just a little bit, some of you know that this team started the season with an abysmal 3-16 overall record, and honestly looked like they'd be one of, if not the worst teams in the league, especially with Zion sitting out for the foreseeable future. And then, as most of you could have guessed, if they weren't already, the Pelicans were immediately swept under the rug of NBA recognition. But with absolutely no credit being given to this team, besides probably from their own fans, they have made one of the more remarkable midseason turnarounds that we have seen in quite some time. As since the 3-16 start, this team has posted a 12-12 record in their following 24 games. And I know, this span is nothing crazy, and it's definitely not something that would catch the eye of the mainstream NBA media, but for the Pelicans having the 3rd toughest schedule out of any team across the NBA, this complete 180 the team has taken, which actually has put them only 2.5 games out of the last play-in spots, is something that should be put on notice. And with how well this team has been able to keep up, to think that they will be adding their generational type of talent back into the rotation in due time is seriously something that I think is going to push this Pelicans team over the hump they have been stuck behind for the last 2 seasons. Because if you think back to the last 2 seasons where Zion played at least a portion in both of them, they were in fact not in a play-in standing in either of those years. And again, with eventually being able to add Zion back into the rotation, I don't see a way where they at least don't make the play-in this year. And even just from a hindsight perspective, from what I've watched and read about with this Pelicans team, the roster from top to bottom really just seems to enjoy playing with each other. Like, the connection and chemistry this team possesses sits at a high level, and that's something that always seems to go unnoticed, especially with teams like this. Because even with some of the big offseason shakeups the Pelicans went through and adding new faces to the team like Devonte Graham and Jonas Valanciunas, this team has been able to hit their stride at a time that almost nobody expected them to, and it's only a matter of time before they are adding their biggest piece back into the rotation, who is going to be able to give them 25 and 7 every given night. But if there's one more thing I wanted to talk about with the return of Zion Williamson coming in the near future, is the idea of finally being able to see one of my favorite duos in the NBA playing alongside each other again in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Because for anyone who doesn't follow the Pelicans frequently, which I'm sure is a majority of you, BI has been balling out not just this year, but for the previous 3 years in New Orleans, and has not got nearly the amount of credit he deserves. Because I'm sure some of you remember the 2020 season where Brandon Ingram earned the Most Improved Player of the Year as well as an All-Star appearance. However, since this, we really haven't heard much of him, so I'm sure some of you would have assumed that he has regressed a bit in his play over the last 2 seasons. Well, I'll tell you right now that's not the case, because BI's numbers over the last 2 years have been relatively identical to the outbreak season he had in 2020, but again, obviously no one is talking about it. And you know, honestly, I think BI is okay with it, because Brandon Ingram has quite literally thrived in the position of being second in the spotlight for his entire career up until this point. And with this situation still taking place, even though the media doesn't see it, I really still think that the duo of a 24-year-old Brandon Ingram and a 21-year-old Zion Williamson still have a lot of good time in NOLA together and are going to accomplish a lot more over the next few years than I think most would anticipate. But now, as I love to do in every single video, I want to hear what you guys have to think. So please let me know in the comments down below what you expect from the return of Zion Williamson later this year, and also, do you think the Pelicans are capable of being a playoff team? Also, again, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. We're coming out with brand new NBA videos every single week, you guys. We are in the heart of the NBA season. You do not want to miss out. But on that note, I also want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything. You all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.